Today's topic is two kinds of honesty. I am Shauna White, heartfelt intimacy coach, helping couples to create heartfelt intimacy that flows naturally in their relationship. So, two kinds of honesty. This is. I'm. Hang on a second. I'm a little distracted because my setup is not quite the way I want it. There we go. That's the way I like it. Okay, here we go. All right. So, two kinds of honesty. I call them constructive honesty and deconstructive honesty. And you might come up with a different name. If you come up with a name you like better, let me know. Although it doesn't mean I'm going to change it. But anyway, we'll see. Okay, so what I mean by constructive honesty, there's honesty that builds connection, builds vulnerable connection, and there's honesty that creates an assault on emotional safety and thereby also an assault on connection. So counterintuitively, constructive honesty is the one that I say is not so constructive for your connection. And that's why I think you might come up with a different term, but we'll see what happens in the comments. Anyway, so constructive honesty. An example of constructive honesty. So constructive honesty is like when you are creating a structure in your mind and you're speaking it out to your partner or to anyone, but we'll just keep it to partners. And by so doing, you're creating a box or a judgment or a veil over your partner. And your partner's like, ooh, did you just put me in a box? Oh, did you just cover me with a judgment? Oh, are you looking at me like you've seen me from the past? So, so an example, and I don't know if it's a good example because I don't remember exactly what they said. I just remember this is when this idea of constructive and deconstructive honesty came to me. I was in the back seat. I was going to a tango event. I was being driven there by a couple. He was driving. She was in the passenger seat in the front. And they were getting into a little bit of a tiff. And she said something not very flattering about him. I don't remember what it was. That's the part I don't remember. But then she said, I'm just being honest. And I found this to be very interesting because according to her, she's being honest. And yet what she's being honest about was hurtful. And he got defensive naturally. I think he was defensive already in the first place because that's kind of how they got into a tiff. But she was being honest, sharing her construction in her mind about him, which was that whatever it was, he was a jerk or he was a machismo, whatever. I don't know. I don't remember what she was insulting him about at the time. But yeah, so I wanted to see for myself, what's the difference between being honest about a judgment or being honest in a way that's destructive to connection versus being honest in a way that fosters emotional safety and draws your partner out to connect with you deeper. The second version is what I call sometimes when I'm talking about it from this angle, deconstructive honesty, which is where instead of, it's really, the reason I call it those two words is because of the energy. When you're sharing an idea that you have about somebody with them or even someone else, but particularly with that person, your energy is like hard and pushy on a very subtle level. I don't know, can you feel that? Let me know in the comments if you can feel that. And let me know in the comments if you're watching this live or replay too. Let's have a dialogue, right? So yeah, let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about with that feeling of like the idea being pushed out onto the other person. Whereas deconstructive honesty feels more like breaking down the ideas. It's like, and then sharing with an open hand. I'm trying to get into the camera. Sharing with an open hand with your partner what your process of deconstruction is like. So instead of saying, "You're a machismo jerk," or whatever it was she said to him, she might say, "Huh, I'm feeling," I don't know if she would say anything about him at all, right? But that lands a little bit like kind of machismo in my senses, but I think what's really going on as I take a closer look at it is that I am feeling like I don't know how to respect myself in this moment. And if I just breathe, I realize that this is what I'm afraid of underneath the surface. So this was, I'm just making it up on the spot, but to the best of my ability, putting myself in her shoes, even though I don't remember what she said, that to demonstrate that deconstructive honesty, it's like, let me find out what's at the root and the root underneath that and the root underneath that of the idea that's occurring in my head. Instead of vomiting my idea onto my partner, let me notice this is a structure and it's an artificial structure, because energetically I can feel the structure and I can feel what it makes me want to do. And that's not how I want to be. I want to be an expression of love, not an expression of ideas. So let me see what's underneath that idea. And as we look through that self-reflective process, underneath the idea starts to dissolve, and we find, and the emotions that that idea is the puppet for, like you have a puppet and then you have the hand inside the puppet. um the idea is the puppet, and the emotions that are motivating that idea are like the hand inside the puppet, right? So deconstructing that is, what's the idea? What are the emotions behind the idea inside that puppet, inside me? And what is was causing, what's the origin of those emotions? And as you start to unravel these things and then share your partner, share your process with your partner, share your discoveries with your partner, now you're sharing your growth process with your partner. And you're not talking about them, you're talking about you, and you are sharing your own disarming process with them, which disarms your partner. So it's a that's the kind of honesty that creates connection. And it doesn't have to be that you're sharing deconstructive honesty about an issue that you had with your partner. That's what you want to do if there's an issue. But also, if you have a anything that you're growing through, the more you share deconstructive honesty about your deeper self-reflections, and the more you have deeper self-reflections to share, because you actually do this deconstructive honesty process with yourself, the deeper your intimacy and the more rewarding your connection is going to be with your partner, because that's where intimacy really comes from, is from sharing your growth process. Like, people can, it's fun to go out and do things that you both are interested in. And that's important. It's important to have fun adventures on this 3D planet together. But real, like, heart touching, soul touching intimacy comes from sharing your deep self reflections and personal growth. So deconstructive honesty is essential to having an amazing relationship. All right. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What does this bring up for you? What other words do you think I should call these two things? Or do you now like constructive honesty and deconstructive honesty after you've heard the full explanation? And yeah, any thoughts? Let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.